I'll do my best.
You guys take into consideration how much weight can that bridge hold when the traffic is stopped?
Yeah.
Semi trucks loaded with cattle is heavier than any freaking bus.
Yeah.
Have you thought about that?
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
when the
our-
traffic can't get left or right and they're stopped there, you got 8 semi trucks packing that bridge. Anybody sat on there for a long time, see what happens?
Well, our bridges are designed for dynamic
For flow, for trucks to go over, not to sit on.
And
I work on
dynamic-
trucks for a living. They're pretty damn heavy.
And we design our bridges, and I think we're getting a little off topic here, but we design our bridges for dynamic loads, a truck bouncing across it. And that's far more than just a static load sitting on the bridge. So I'm pretty confident that bridge could hold a semi-truck parked both lanes going both directions, because each girder is designed to hold up a dynamic load on top of it. And so, I guess, I don't want to take up everyone's
Flashing lights
time.
is cheap.
We got a meeting. We gotta finish.
We're actually good because we're going past our advertised council meeting start time. But we'll get into our regular council meeting, and I'm sure we'll have a short discussion on what the will of the council is regarding the topic. And are you going to wait in case there's any other questions?
Yeah, I will stick around, but,
Are you gonna let us know before you make your final decision?
Already been made.
As far as
The stop sign.
Let's go in.
I don't wanna see them change. I like Dean's idea. Do anything, go with Dean Medvede's idea.
543 people signed those petitions that were very upset about what's coming down.
I think we people of Black County have a right to know what you're
We have a meeting at 7:00 that we're obligated to start.
That's okay.
So can we start that, please? Well, we have a section in the agenda for continued conversations.
With that, we'll call the regular council meeting to order. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Candy, would you take roll, please?
Councilman Madison. Councilman Montoya. Councilman Brits.
Here.
Councilman Race. Mayor Grace.
Here.
Can we keep moving the conversation outside, please? Thank you.
no, I'm not in here with that.
All right, you have before you an agenda that has a couple of changes, correct, Candy?
One change.
One change and one addition.
No, just one change order. We need to amend the agenda to include an appointment for Board of Adjustments.
That'll be under new business.
Sure. Perfect.
Move to accept the agenda with the noted change.
Second.
Is there any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion will carry. You also have before you the consent agenda. For the purpose of discussion, I would entertain a motion to approve and place to record the consent agenda items.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion?
Sandy, on Hammond's approval report, first bank card,
Yes.
you have 67. Now, my question is, it says signs for parks. Is that for the signs that have been vandalized down there?
No, we're in the process of measuring and going to redo those park signs. We just need to work with the park department on what the wording we want.
Okay.
The park signs, what were the park? It says park signs.
Yes.
Yeah, 'cause I thought those
Signs for parks.
We did some signs for sanitation.
Okay. No, I was just curious if that was for those.
Yes, no, there's several down at the park that need to be replaced, and we're gonna do them at once. And so Bobby will do some measurements and we'll figure out the wording.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Is the ARPA sewer line project on 12th or 11th?
It's on 11th Street. Does it say 12th in there? It is 11th Street. Because we had 10th water line, 11th sewer line. I did want to report that our overtime was the lowest.
Seen
We've
that.
been tracking it. It won't look so good next month. We've had a few electrical outages and water breaks, but October was the lowest since we've been tracking it.
Seen that.
Looked like the public surplus was a pretty good success as well.
Yes, very successful public service. We even discovered the back truck and one of those international dump trucks that caused such heartburn.
One of the old brown ones.
Walter, the building inspector, handled that public surplus, so I appreciated him taking that off my hands.
Chief, I got a question. I got comparing the traffic offenses. I got 105 for the month. Do we keep track of 16th on how many actually were on 16th?
Yeah, every traffic stop that we do has an address assigned to it.
So just to keep this rhetoric keep coming up, you know, it's never patrolled, never patrolled. You know, I'd like maybe some more accountability on that to say, okay, here's what we, you know, with our all due diligence with our police officers, here's what I've come up, here's what we've done on 16th Street. It seems like it's every month it comes up, or every other, whatever.
No, I can break it down to 16th Street.
I think that would be a talking point. Thank you.
My turn, Chief.
Yes.
In your report, you had 19 animal problems, but then I look on your other sheet, and as far as dogs at large, it was 0. So what were those animal problems?
That could be anything from barking to running at large, but then they're gone when we get there, or they've gone back out of their property. There's multitudes of things that could be a cat call where we're not handling the cats because we have nowhere to put those.
I've never seen one that high before. I was just kind of curious.
You get quite a few, usually July, usually the highest. There are a few dogs that, yeah, we just can't ever catch. You get close to them. They take over. And they get called themselves times.
a live trout to catch them in that. No.
Parks and Rec didn't send anything?
No, I had nothing for person.
Do we need to amend the motion to reflect that, or just? Just like the Parks and Rec? Or is it just, it is what it is? I think so too, but I didn't know if technically. With no other concerns at this time, all in favor of placing the consent agenda to record, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same signs. Moving on to petitions, memorials, proclamations, and public comment.
Bless you.
Item number 1 is a proclamation of National Apprenticeship Week.
Brandon, you want John to come stand up? We've got an apprentice for the town of Wheatland here.
I'll read the proclamation real quick. It says, whereas 2022 marks the 85th anniversary of the National Apprenticeship Act, and whereas the National Apprenticeship Week is celebrating its 8th anniversary of raising awareness of the vital role of registered apprentices provide in creating opportunities by allowing apprentices to earn while they learn and preparing a pathway to good quality jobs as well and well-paying careers in Wheatland and across the nation. And whereas registered apprenticeship programs enable employers to develop and train their future workforce while offering career seekers affordable paths to secure high-paying jobs. And whereas Wheatland recognizes the role of registered apprenticeship in expanding opportunities in our workforce that are inclusive of individuals who have been historically underserved, marginalized, or adversely affected by persistent poverty and inequality, thus providing a path for all qualified individuals, including women, youth, people of color, rural communities, justice-involved individuals, and individuals with disabilities to become apprentices and contribute to Wyoming and America's industries. And whereas Wheatland recognizes that registered apprenticeship, a proven and industry-driven training model, can train our workforce and build a pipeline into good quality jobs in order to address our nation's pressing workforce challenges, such as rebuilding our country's infrastructure, addressing critical supply chain demands, supporting a clean energy workforce, modernizing our cybersecurity response, and responding to care economy issues. Now therefore I, Brandon Graves, Mayor of Wheatland, do hereby declare November 14th, 2022 through November 20th, 2022 as National Apprenticeship Week in the town of Wheatland. And we have with us John, and I believe you are in your 3rd year of apprenticeship. I'd just like to shake your hand and thank you for participating in our program, and congratulations. And item number 2 is the Platte County Economic Development. I see Mr. Brown is going to speak.
I'm Jeff Brown, here representing Platte County Economic Development. As most of you know, Merlin was retiring. He's been with us for 5 years.
5.5, yeah.
So he's going to go and do fun stuff now.
6 months and 8 days.
But anyway, tonight I'd like to introduce Tracy DeWright. She's going to be our new director going forward. We welcome her. We're excited. We think she'll do a great job. Anyway, welcome.
Thank you.
continue with the business entities of Black County.
Anything you'd like to add, Merlin?
I have some information, but I'll keep that for the economic report.
That was in our consent agenda, so this would be a
Oh,
good time.
okay. Well, I left it up there for you all to look at. We'll have Black County Economic Development, soon to retire. Again, if you'll notice on that sheet that I put up there, we have very few empty buildings in town. I mean, we've got a big eyesore with the Burger King building that's all boarded up, but lot trucking appears to be off the market. The special use permit was approved at the last planning and zoning session, so I think that we're seeing a lot of sideways movement. The Amazing Monogram building sold, but somebody's moving into it right away, so we're seeing a lot of sideways movement. I think we'll have an empty building probably on South Street. I'm not sure how long that'll remain empty. There's a lot of interest in that particular building, so I think it's looking pretty good.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Economic development related. What's PCED's perception of the electorate's decision to discontinue the 3 mil tax for the hospital district?
I think that's probably a huge mistake. And I think that when people realize what that mill levy has done for Platte County, they'll reinstitute it. I think that the problem there was that that board did not advocate for that, like the Senior Citizens District Board and the Services for Seniors Board did to keep their mill levy. When you look at the legacy home and the importance of that to our community, and the hospital and the importance to that, and what could possibly happen to both of those entities without that tax, I think it was, this is a personal opinion, because I haven't talked to my board of directors, so I don't know, but economically, I think that it's not a good thing for the county or for the town. Personally, I think it's a travesty, and I think the voters made a huge, huge mistake. I mean, there was no advertising for or against the conservation tax. It passed. I noticed there were some letters to the editor and articles about the Senior Citizens District Board tax, but I don't recall seeing any information pro or con for the hospital board.
I guess I'm a short timer here, but I have 3 issues. I mean, as far as my council position is concerned, I'm shocked. I mean, those that are going to be left on this council and those that are coming in going to be struggling with how to deliver good health care. I mean, that's a huge hit to economic health in our community.
I would agree.
From a business standpoint, I own a business, I hire employees, it's going to be harder for me as an employer to attract and retain employees. That's just going to make it harder on my business. It's going to cost me more money. And then from a personal standpoint, my parents live in the legacy home, and it's tough already. It's going to make it even harder. I'm just give my
I was shocked.
very disappointed. Yeah, very short-sighted. Well, I guess for this council's perspective, I know the older members of this council haven't been interested in it, but you might have to revisit stipend or some sort of funding for the ambulance service again. I mean, it's gonna be tough. Thank you, Merlin. I agree with your position. And welcome. Talk about this.
You also have before you a letter from some citizens in regards to the use of Lewis Park. They're upset that the electric and the water were taken away, and they're asking us to reconsider. We get several of these, but the donation box has been, I don't know, okay, I guess. I mean, I suppose recently, since it got colder, it's not been much, but through the summer months, we didn't notice a huge fall off. Maybe a little, but it wasn't huge. But we do get negative comment from people who have stayed with us before and then come back to find out that we don't offer the use to.
Bless you. Thank you.
And I suppose now is as good a time as any to kind of continue the discussion about the stop sign on a limited basis. If you've got some material to share or have questions of the council, please go to the podium and state your name.
Morton Tillman, 1556 Pine Street. My concern is the speed on 16th Street. If you take those stop signs out, I'd like to see speed bumps every third block, so people will observe the 30-mile-an-hour speed. Thank you.
Not a horrible idea, Morton.
Pardon?
Not a horrible idea.
They have intelligence.
Hi, Aaron Hale. Morgan Hale. A lot of our questions have been met. A few of them have not been answered. We agree with the fact that the stop sign is not the best idea in a sense. I mean, if we're going to redo 16th Street, the ultimate best deal would make a underpass. Make the interstate go over, we go under, you put a stoplight there, everybody meets code, everybody is safe. You then also produce a better entrance across the other side of the interstate into the rental shop and the homes down on that side instead of hills going down into their streets. It would eliminate a lot of the people coming up to those stop signs, spinning out, being unable to get up them and sliding backwards into other people. I do have a question. Why hasn't 16th Street been striped in like 30 years? Is there a reason that it doesn't get striped ever so that people understand that it's a really wide road? There's no turning lanes. People are, I mean, because if you watch and you drive down the street, nobody is driving down the side of the street. They're driving in the center of the road. Everybody drives to the center.
Except for the out-of-towners.
Except for the out-of-towners who think it's a 4-laner, and then they drive around you.
Yeah,
It's true. I don't understand why we can't stripe that. If you want it to be a 3-lane like you have South Street, so you have a turning lane at the certain intersections, you could do that. It would eliminate a lot of traffic. It would slow people down as well, instead of making it, if you're putting the stop sign in, which I hope not, they wouldn't be so apt to haul ass around people that are making the turn. You have a nice, easy, it'll be just like South Street. It's nice and easy. Everybody gets in the turning lane when they need to turn. The people that are not turning will go straight past them. Eliminates a lot. I agree. I don't know about speed bumps. It's going to be a little hard in the semi, a little rough. But something has to slow people down if you're going to put a through there on 16th for those kids at those crosswalks.
I currently own a house right there on 16th and Walnut. I have watched 3 little kids almost get hit.
Nobody stops.
That track, when tracks come through there, it scares me to death. And I'm out there mowing my lawn, and the way people go zooming by, if you get rid of that stop sign,
it's going to get worse.
I feel like it's going to get worse.
I really agree. The other thing which Kayla Mandel had touched on was, where's traffic going to go? We spoke with several of our friends who truck drive, and they haul
And they are from out of town.
on the farm to market for True Ranches and the other ranches that are out there. And they use that road except for in the wintertime because you cannot stop. You can't make the turn down at the end of the hill. It's too much of a steep grade. It is not like Mariposa. If you take the grade and the length, they are totally different. It is a shorter bridge down here at Mariposa or at 16th, and it is a longer bridge over here without the steep grade. You can see the distance. You're not coming up blind over the top of the bridge. So this truck traffic, we asked them, where do you guys go? And they said, well, we tend to go down Mariposa through a school zone in the wintertime.
Interstate access.
Has interstate access, onto Pruitt onto the farm to market, and farm to market on. So those roads now are going to get beat up. Mariposa is already in bad shape. It's rough. People don't like to really drive down it because it's a school zone. There's children. It's dangerous, especially in the wintertime. Does it get
have
plowed?
the school buses.
I don't think Mariposa gets plowed that often. They'll plow the schools. So now you have buses trying to leave the schools and heavy truck traffic going. Who's going to have the right of way?
We're just taking the same problem that we're trying to eliminate with the school buses and the traffic issue on Oak, and now we're moving it to Mariposa.
So then you're putting a stoplight in there so that the bus and parent traffic can have
and that
a
street's
smooth
even wider.
in and out. It's also not striped. Where's center? Is it a 3-lane? 2-lane?
As of right now, I think the best thing we can do just for time, stripe it so that people understand. Eliminate street parking on 16th. I understand that as a commercial residential, that 90% of the people that own homes have driveways on 16th. Get rid of parking on 16th. Eliminates people trying to weasel past other people when they don't see that it's not striped and they don't know what's what. And another issue is you're gonna get rid of that stop sign, and those people who do have driveways on 16th and they're stopping, they wanna back in, whatever, they're going to turn in. Somebody's not paying attention, they're gonna get hit. A little bit of delay in your traffic isn't going to hurt people's lives. We need to look at how detrimental one stop sign really is.
The only thing I have, yeah, let's put a stop sign in, update the signs in the area so that they're up to code. I understand that it takes more maintenance, and I understand it doesn't get done because most of the time the lights are out on the stoplight up there at Maverick. Half of them don't work half the time. And then the other half, YDOT has it set up so that it is a straight through. You go straight through on 16th and it immediately turns to red.
Unless you've got more than one car sitting there. Yeah.
I have ever been through.
3 seconds.
It is the fastest light. It doesn't do it like down here on Gilchrist where you have the pan for people to walk and then they get 8 seconds before it turns yellow and then you know, well, guess what? I'm not making this one. That one, I can be coming down, there'll be a car sitting there at a red light, it'll turn green, that car will make it through and I'll have just come up to that and it'll turn red. And I'm mashing my brakes on. I don't think that's very helpful.
That's the state, isn't it?
That is the state.
I've counted that as 3 seconds. It's green for 3 seconds.
If you want to slow traffic down going down 16th Street, fix that. Make it so that everybody has a timed section, both directions.
Have any of these ideas you mentioned been looked at?
Yes, all of them.
Even the underpass?
Well, the underpasses, that's financially.
I understand that. Well, we're not financially making it for 16th Street either, are we?
Yes, we are.
We're gonna make her in the next year?
We're working on it.
2 years.
Come to our meetings. We talked about it last month.
So, I mean, I just don't think that the stop sign is going to be your best bet. And the city of Wheatland doesn't have the funds to keep maintaining Mariposa. Because that's where truck traffic's gonna go, because they won't wanna use that
And then it's gonna just be a domino effect out onto the county roads, and our poor county's broke.
I mean, nobody has funds just laying around to fix things. I mean, the city is doing a dang good job fixing the streets that they can and maintaining the streets that they can, but there's a lot of streets in this town. And
We
a
have
lot of
big
them are
streets.
paved, and they're big streets. And you just can't, I mean, if you don't do it right the first time and you keep just band-aiding it, your band-aid keeps coming off, right? It's not gonna hold forever. You gotta go back to the main problem and fix it. And that's what Mariposa is going to do, is exactly what Palmer Canyon has done. When they hauled everything to the airport, it just destroyed it, blew it out. It is worse now than it was before. They double chip sealed it because that's the funds that they had, and it has not fixed it in any way. It still has blowout spots, it's still rutted, it is still so rough that nobody wants to drive their trucks down it because it beats the crap out of them. You're replacing tires, you're replacing brakes, you're replacing parts because it's just rattling the crap out of the truck. And so where do we want to go? Farm to market, because it's maintained. It's new. It's in good shape.
And it's got wide roads.
And it has wide roads.
We run mixer trucks, and we've got a big tag axle that comes down. And when we were on those narrow county roads and we pass another big truck, everybody wants to get over from us. We do that, we're gonna hit that lip that's in the road, and that back tire grabs it, and it will throw your truck. It is spooky.
I just think we're causing more problems in the future than we are remedying this situation with a stop sign. But ultimately, I mean, it is your guys' decision, and I would hope that we can find, or try it, see what happens, and if it doesn't work out, then we try a different situation.
I mean, how many times can we change it though?
Speed bumps.
But I do agree with some of the other things is more patrolling.
Yeah.
I have driven down, I don't drive down 6th Street a lot because it's so busy. I like to stay away from traffic. I will bebop through the blocks and go up to wherever I need to be. Whether it's going around school and down Raleigh to get to the bank and then back around, that's how I mainly stick to. But they haul ass on that, pardon my French, on that street. And I don't care, kids to adults.
Yeah.
People are in a hurry. And you got to slow them down somehow. We're going to either have a kid run over like they did on South Street from track, or we're going to have accidents at that intersection. And I don't think either of those are good. I guess that's all we got.
My name's Tambria Martin. I'm against a stop sign at the bottom of that steep hill. You know, the overpasses freeze before other things do. And just if I'm in just my regular 4-wheel drive at the top of that hill and I'm not accelerating or braking, by the time I reach the bottom, I'm going 30 miles an hour. You know, if you're braking on ice, lose control. I'm just saying, gravity is not going to help even regular, it's not just the big trucks, even just a 4-wheel drive truck like mine. I have to be riding the brakes going down it and may or may not stop at the bottom because of the momentum I have going if it's icy there. That's what I'm saying. I'm aware people run those stop signs, so I kind of watch the other, I look ahead for that so that I don't get involved in it if they do. But to stop there, I don't see how you can in winter with ice because of gravity.
I'm just reading the manual on uniform traffic control devices. Supplemental plaques with legends such as 2-way, 3-way, 4-way, or other numbers of ways shall not be used with stop signs.
Say that again?
Yeah, could you repeat that, please?
Supplemental plaques with legends such as two-way, three-way, four-way, or other numbers of ways shall not be used with stop signs, period.
So they're saying we can't have that on any intersection at all.
That's what it says.
So that goes back to what we were talking about liability then, if you know that's shall not be used.
Shall not be used, yeah.
If somebody was to contest that,
That's the municipal, that's
if
the
someone
federal,
was to contest that
federally
court law,
accepted standard for
we knew about it.
traffic.
We didn't change it. Try to conform. The liability falls back on the city.
It doesn't always fall back on the city. Just because that sign's there and somebody has an accident, doesn't mean the sign caused the accident. It's probably the driver's fault. You have to be realistic about this stuff. And I'm not saying you shouldn't take it down, but just because, it's like saying, geez, you didn't have a stop sign there, and so now we're gonna sue the town because you didn't have a stop sign there. That isn't how the law works.
Or a
No,
non-conforming.
it's not even that, Donnie. You still have to prove it was as a result of the sign that caused that accident and caused the harm. It's not just because of the sign was there.
Guns don't kill
Or
people.
wasn't, sure. Signs up, not.
My name's Ed Prime, but that flashing light that I saw in Cheyenne, that was a four-way flashing, by the way.
Right.
Yes.
And I think that language in the manual talks about, three-way stop, two-way stop, four-way stop. You can't use that verbiage. I mean, you'll see some, a three-way stop at a T intersection or a four-way stop. What they're saying is that plaque shouldn't say four-way. It should say all-way stop.
This said four-way.
Well, it doesn't meet the manual. And
This was in Cheyenne, one of the
Well-
new highways.
well,
But it says shall not. It doesn't say you cannot.
And then there was
Well-
there's also a sign, excuse me, before that says there is a stop ahead.
Advanced warning, yes.
Warning, there's a stop ahead.
I guess I wouldn't call this a law. This is not statutory. This is it's been federally accepted, but it's not a statute. So
it's a code, let's say that.
it's like building
It's a
code.
guideline.
Well,
Say we'll move on to unfinished business.
I guess I'll just throw out, because I'm sure you're probably all wondering any of our thoughts.
Yes.
So, real quick, just on my part, we've had talked about on the west side, I think the state would work with us with a marquee sign for I don't know how many months to start letting people know, stop ahead, whatever the wording's going to be. And I know street department supervisor back there talked about this stop sign will be right up there with Flight for Life in the hospital. And I know the police chief has even mentioned, which I think might be a good idea, if we get it cleared off, but we still got weather coming. The guys are still moving snow other places. The chief has brought up having the officers also trained to use our utility truck that throws salt and de-ice, or just having an extra manpower to constantly keep some attention on that stop sign. I brought up, the choice there, if you can do those rumble notches in there, whether it's to wake you up or as you're starting to go down. Hopefully they're not as bad as the one where you're going to Laramie and coming up to Highway 34 that take your teeth out. But kind of just, again, make y'all, bring up some warning that's coming up, whether it's also helps with some traction. I was trying to think what else. Tonight there's been some good stuff come up. I do like the cone in front of the banks over there. Over there for that crosswalk. I think that's kind of cool. I think probably our fall hunters and our walleye fishermen will probably have seen those cones way more than any of us have in our community, which I wouldn't be against in lieu of speed bumps check the police chief there, whatever, every other block, figuring out some cones, or especially on our main crosswalks there. I don't know if a ticket blowing through a crosswalk is bigger than speeding. Another thing that came up pretty much was monitoring the speeding, and then of course the winter conditions. Not much we can do the best we can with winter conditions with what we have. I think this, now that speeding has kind of come to light, again, that's kind of a manpower issue, and I'm sure that's something the chief can work on and we can look at and maybe be more focused on, and now that it's become probably the top issue. I mean, the speeding, and then everybody talked about winter conditions. So anyway, I had a longtime resident tell me, I moved here in 75. I think they were the first ones in the new high school in 76 when the high school burned down. You could go from Ring Neck all the way out to North-South Hightower. That was the farm to market road. You went all the way. When they put in this new school and the new gym, back then, hell froze over. You blocked Oak Street with a new gym and a school, and everybody was upset about that. I know change is hard to deal with, but with all the reports we've had, numerous meetings through years of looking at this, relying on engineers, people with more experience on this, I'm still leaning to the point to give it a swing. Do the stop sign on there. We see what we can do, what we can control with snow removal and monitoring the speeding, and we see what it does. And if it continues, because we want 16th Street clear up to the state level, has been studied with economic development, all of the grant, the process we're working is Wheatland's main commerce thoroughfare, and they suggest to keep the traffic moving. We had the numbers. So again, if you just wanted to know where I'm leaning, that's where I'm leaning. I'll let anybody else.
I'll go ahead.
Thank you very much, by the way. I really appreciate your candor very much. I mean, if I can understand your position, I apologize for interrupting. It helps me. So what I heard you say is traffic flow is more important than the other concerns. Ish. Well, okay, I apologize. Excuse me.
Well, I can tell you my thoughts are similar to Councilman Madsen's. I heard an expression of that people weren't listened to or aren't being listened to. But the facts are that this has been in progress since 2008. We've had multiple public hearings. Those public hearings have been documented. They've been, the people that have attended have, had their time to speak about this and give input on what they felt was important. One of the things we paid an engineer, AVI Engineering, to do a corridor study, and that study was released in 2016. A very large document, multiple options. It has had, that study on its own has had multiple publics related to it. So the idea that we just came up with this on a whim is just not factual. So please be assured that we've been listening to the people all along for over 10 years. Speed limit's not enforced on 16th Street. It's good input. I can say I've personally been stopped on 16th Street by our public safety officers, so I know they're out there. Slick cannot stop in the wintertime, possibly. I would say if you look at statistics for the weather in our area, we get less than 1 day's worth of precipitation per month. So the weather statistics aren't consistent with your observations or your anecdotal evidence.
How long does that moisture stick around though? We get it one day out of the month, it might be there for 3 weeks.
I understand. That's why we have,
So what you're
that's why
saying
we have
is-
de-icers and sealers and things like that. I'm just telling you, this is where I'm coming from.
Well,
So,
state facts.
that is the fact.
That is a fact.
That is a fact.
Yeah.
Also, other cities and towns, Laramie, Cheyenne, they have viaducts that have come to a stop sign that have grades like this. And I haven't heard any issues there.
Did you guys happen to get the statistics on any wrecks at those stop signs in those other cities?
No, I'm just making a casual observation, just like you guys have been making casual observations.
I didn't know you had any information on it.
So,
Isn't this the Wheatland Town Council, not the Laramie Town Council?
you said everyone in this town is used to a three-way stop. Well, that's really true. And Darren, you're absolutely right. In fact, my daughter was hit by an out-of-towner and her Jeep was totaled on a non-winter day because the individual was from Laramie and didn't know it was a three-way stop and took off and plowed into my daughter. So yes, it's confusing and it's dangerous. Let's see. Signs become the norm for locals. I think that's a really good observation. In fact, Mr. Deming, Edward Deming, who's an expert in lean manufacturing and flow and things like that, used to talk about signs in your businesses that they don't do any good. You know, you have empowerment or work team kind of signs. They don't work very well because everybody gets used to them and they start ignoring them. So we put up a sign, a blinking sign. The locals aren't going to pay attention to it after a period of time.
But isn't that what you're gonna do, is put up a sign?
I agree, I understand what you're saying. We need to protect ourselves from the non-locals. That's the issue. We need to make the idea would be to make it idiot-proof. And finally, lastly, we paid a lot of money for a group of engineers to look at this. They gave us a recommendation. They had 3 recommendations. 4-way stop at all directions was was 1. 2-way stop eastbound, westbound, and in the future a signal when traffic flows might warrant it. They analyze, these are engineers, these are the experts, they analyze the conditions as they relate to weather, grade, surfaces, and observe traffic flows. So,
Do any of those engineers live in Wheatland?
they're engineers.
Yeah, okay, you set it up. I've heard it all.
So,
Good Lord.
I like what Councilman Mattson said, you know, put it up and give it a try. And the chief's got 17 wrecks at that location. So, we put a lot of money into design and engineering. And these are the experts, and this is what they're telling us. We are not, I don't know if there's any experts here other than this gentleman here from the DOT. And, you know, well, I'll just leave it there.
I forgot to add, I think what Aaron and Morgan brought up was a good point there, and thought about that, but I think that's something we do need to look into, the striping.
Yeah.
I think it will lessen
Totally.
a lot of confusion.
Yep.
Because there's no direct way to tell people whether there is a turning lane or not.
Yeah.
And I think it will cut down on a lot of the accidents or people cutting people off situations.
We don't have a lot of striping in a lot of places.
Yeah, Mariposa doesn't have any.
Now that you brought it up.
I got blew by in the school zone the other night on Mariposa. I was doing the speed limit 20, it's dark, there's kids playing on the street. Car blew by me like I was out on the interstate. It happens on 16th there in Walnut all the time. Car stops for a kid in the crosswalk, no stripes. Somebody either comes up, actually puts a wheel on the sidewalk to get past that car. You can see those tracks in the sand at Uncle Skeeter's house on that sidewalk. On the sidewalk to get around a car that stopped for kids in the crosswalk going home from school. It's a dangerous situation if there isn't something to slow that traffic up on 16. I'll admit, I've only lived there 10 months. I can't get across that street to walk to Drewby's. I give up. I get in my car, I back out, I get out of the street to go to Drewby's. I can't get across the street to walk to Drewby's.
I was reading something not too long ago about a town that put in intelligent speed bumps. If you're driving the speed limit, they're down. And if you're going faster than the speed limit, they pop up.
I give up trying to walk to Safeway from Walnut or over to Drewby's.
Steve Shockley, Platte County Commissioners. I just wanted to address a couple things. I've been on the commission for 12 years and we've talked a lot about 16th Street and the need to improve it. I don't think we've ever once talked about that intersection and changing the way it is that I'm aware of at any meetings I was at. But I guess the question I have for YDOT, with your traffic studies, do you have any idea how many of those 500 vehicles that are coming over the viaduct are heavy truck traffic?
Yeah.
Because that's our main concern is where is that traffic going to go if we stop?
And you're talking about going eastbound, right?
Yes.
I've got that here.
You guys all got copies of the 16th Street corridor study, right? There's the slide right there. So you can't say you never saw it.
But we never talked about it in the meeting yet.
Well, yeah, we have. It's been part of the public conscience. How do you safety?
So the trucks on the heavy traffic on that leg is 3.5%.
At what time of year?
What time of year?
Well, we picked this day kind of a average time of year. We don't like to do traffic studies for worst case scenario or best case scenario. You want to design for average traffic flows, and so this is what we would consider as average traffic flow. So I don't necessarily have a time of
how long was
what
that
day it was.
study?
Pardon?
How long was that study? How many days?
I don't have that. I guess I could call and visit with those folks, but these are the traffic counts that I have, and typically we can set those counters out there for a week or a day, but I think this traffic count was probably taken midweek, 1 or 2 days.
And that's kind of what I assumed, probably fairly small amount of it was heavy truck traffic, but
it was, yeah. But and I want to say that they probably counted some buses in that. Well, they said there was three through trucks, 10 left turners, or no, and 6. Well, hold on. Got to get my columns right here. Through trucks were 3, right was 3. Through trucks were 10, and left turns were 6. So I assume a lot of those were school buses. They count as heavy vehicles.
oh, sure would have been the through. Your traffic counters can count multiple axles, can't they?
They can, and we can classify those. The study I have just breaks it out. Heavy and large vehicles, light and motorcycles, and passenger cars, and then heavy vehicles. And I guess we could mine that data a little bit to see, how many of them were, single unit vehicles, how many of them were semi-combination vehicles, but I don't have that available to me right now. So
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
So my 2 cents, after listening to everybody's input, which was really, really helpful, I felt. The truck traffic deal, I understand what you're saying on that. I really never did take into consideration you guys taking an alternate route and what that's going to do to that road. That kind of opened my eyes to that. Never thought about that. The crosswalks. Okay, so I was recently on the road and I was in this town and there was these crosswalks. You go up to the crosswalks and you hit a button and these flashing lights go off on both sides. I mean, they're bright, LED lights, traffic, both sides, stop, let the pedestrians cross. I don't see why we couldn't do something like that with those two crosswalks, especially with kids. You know, I think that is something that we could really look into. I think that'd be a great thing to see if we can't do.
Does the pedestrian press the button?
Yes, right at the crosswalk. Pedestrian hits the button, lights come on, cars stop.
It's similar to where you push the button at the stop lights.
Yeah, but this thing is like now, immediate.
Yeah, there's one right when you come into Laramie, just about Dairy Queen there. You
Okay.
can hit it.
You can actually use it too.
Yeah.
Something like that to push.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right now, it's hard even getting to use it.
Yep. So I think that would be something to look at.
Make sure they're designated for sure.
Yeah.
We don't have a cafeteria at our high school and our kids are walking the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
I was one of those kids, we did it.
I see them all the time.
And they don't have a long lunch period.
Right.
And not having a way for them to get across in a timely manner.
I think that'd be a pretty safe
I like
option.
that idea.
You can't lead a horse to water, you can't make them drink, but at least it would be offered.
Yeah, it'd be an option.
The ideas about striping 16th Street, I think that's a really good idea. I think it's a necessary idea. I don't know if it's possible or not, but I like the idea of turning lanes going north, turning lane going to the east, going north, turning lane going to the west. I think that's an option. I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I don't know, but I like that idea. I think we need to address the stoplight on 9th and 16th. You know, if it's turning that fast, then maybe we can address that. Maybe that will help things out. You know, I kind of agree with Mort. You know, you make that a through street on 16th, you're going to have some people speeding on that road. It's just going to be a natural thing. I don't know what the answer is. Is it a stop sign? I don't know. Rumble strips? I don't know. Now, I was all in with these guys, and I am in a way. But Kenny Duncan brought up that fact of a two-way, and that intrigued me. And I'm not going to say no to it. I don't know. It's just something I have to look at.
On 16th?
Yeah.
As opposed to two-way east-west?
Yeah. So I like that idea.
The speed bump thing would be a problem with plowing. You can't plow
True.
through speed bumps. It has a good point. It would slow traffic and it would prevent people from speeding, but you just can't. It would just be a nightmare for our maintenance crew.
But yeah, that's my thought on that. And again, like Councilman Grace mentioned, you know, we need to maybe start logging how many times we stop people on 16th and everywhere else. More police presence on that. But anyway, I thought your guys' input was excellent. I really do. And I appreciate it. That's my wife. I'll be home in about an hour.
You got anything to add on?
I think I've heard about enough of, to me, if we're gonna, just my thought, we're gonna throw it out there and try something. My thought is just a two-way stop.
I'm sorry?
A two-way stop through 16th. Okay, that's not ultimate what we're trying to get to, but that would solve a couple of problems. One of them would be the speeding thing, slow people down, keep them running through that, which is a school zone, and our kids walking across that street. It would alleviate the problem of the slide throughs. I don't know.
Two-way on 16th, you're gonna stop 16th.
Stop 16th, take the stop sign out of it, just let it through both ways. Stop. The other option would be a four-way, but I would say if we're gonna try something like I know that's not optimal to our 16th Street design and project, but I would lean that way.
We don't have to make a decision tonight, do we?
No. No, not unless you guys are prepared to it. I mean,
I think.
it's not an action item on the agenda. I think it was more of a fact-finding mission and to seek input.
Yeah.
And make sure we were doing what we thought was best, just because there had been such resistance to the idea. I mean, I felt it prudent to allow everybody to have their chance to voice their opinion.
Ultimately, it comes down to us.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
It comes down, it's gonna be our swing at the ball. Appreciate all the insight, and I know what your concerns are down that. That's a pretty good slope. The best idea is an underpass.
I know, it's expensive. We've looked at it, but it is ultimately the best.
That would be the best.
And then you put a stoplight there and you time it just like you would on 9th and Gilchrist.
Start
and it
selling
just,
some pies and we'll get that going.
well, you know, I bake bread really well.
Alexander could donate for the material?
Alexander Construction donate the material.
Oh, but you can hire
No,
us.
we
Yeah.
can, your material really is almost there. You take it from, the overpass goes away for a little bit. You use the material that is in the inclines to raise up the I-25 on the northbound side. And you use the opposite side to do the southbound. And then you create your underpass.
It's completely possible.
It's
We have to
doable.
find the funds.
It's just,
Just
it
like
is-
we have to find the funds for 16 projects.
It just, it
That's
doesn't
been
cost
ongoing
money.
for years. We've got grants in on that. I mean, we've got.
It's just gonna
That's
cost money,
one of
but
the-
it would be ultimately, it would save
one of the things that
everybody's
enlightened me
argument
was
and it
how
would
much money it
eliminate
takes.
everybody's safety concerns. The hill, the ice, it would have a stoplight that would be regulated. Everybody would get a chance. Nobody's gonna be cutting anybody off.
Four-way stop in and it's just four-way stop signs.
You could, yep, even do that, but a light would ultimately end everybody's problem.
There you go. That was my thought. Mayor.
Thank you.
I yield back to you.
I also would take a moment and thank Mark Williams for making himself available to try not to get lynched tonight. And thank the public for their input. It's not, like I said in my opening statement, it's not a decision that we've taken lightly. I think we have some more fat to chew on now in making our decision, and maybe some more input from the police chief and the street department head is prudent on our part also as well, to talk about some signage upgrades and crosswalks and kind of put an overall plan together and reassess before we just execute, because there were definitely some good points brought up tonight. And I appreciate people participating and being civil and doing a nice job. I mean, I know it's a contentious subject, but I feel like we were able to listen, and I think everybody was able to talk pretty openly, and we followed a pretty good rule of order, and I'm very comfortable with the outcome, and I appreciate it very much. Moving on to unfinished
You're all
business.
very gracious. I appreciate you entertaining us. I've worked in the black and white management most of my life. And unfortunately, I've had to live in the gray. And then I understand statistics. And I really, quite honestly, understand what you understand why you're totally what you are. But the gray is, and that's where we live, you know? We gotta drive that, we gotta deal with it, so. Good luck, guys. Appreciate your input.
Thank you, Toby.
Thank you, Toby.
Oh, no.
All right, unfinished business, item number 1, ordinance 838.
You have an appointment, didn't you?
You did it.
We're doing it, John.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We're doing it, John, new business.
I put it in the wrong place. I apologize.
So Mayor, we have ordinance 838 for third reading.
Yep.
On the rezone of 754 Cole Street. I didn't have planner Dumont attend,
So hopefully if you have questions, I can answer.
I think on third reading, I think it's, from my interpretation, I think it's satisfactory.
I move to accept ordinance 838 on third reading.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance 838 on third and final reading. Is there any further discussion? Yeah, Mark, thank you for coming, Mark.
Thanks,
Yes,
Mark.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Mark.
Appreciate it.
Mark.
I'll give you a call.
Okay.
Yes, I will. Hearing no further discussion on ordinance 838, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion will carry. Moving on to new business, item number 1, property insurance with Will DeWright and the Wheatland Agency.
Good evening.
The floor is yours, Will.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for your time. I think all of you know we've been your insurance agent for the last 5 years now. We represent multiple carriers. Currently, the town is with Travelers. Has been for, I don't even know how many years now, since 2002, I believe, with a couple of little misses in between, but that's who we represent, who we've been with. We worked with Nationwide, Liberty Mutual, and General Casualty to see if they would be interested in quoting the city's insurance this year. The town of Wheatland, along with most of the communities along this eastern half of the state and all up and down I-25 into other states, has the same issues. We have a major issue with wind, we have a major issue with hail, and I don't have any supporting business with the community with town of Wheatland, the liability side, to offset it. Currently, you are hitting about a 600% loss ratio since 2017. We are coming down a little bit. In 2019, we were at 788% on the property side. So it's not a big.
That would be claims.
Claims.
Make it simple.
Yeah.
That was my question. When we were talking about.
We're about 182% on the auto side. So it is coming down a little bit.
600%.
Since 2017.
Wow.
The hail of 2017 annihilated us. That was a little over $500,000. That was with Travelers. So there's nobody jumping up and down to try and right the town's business, is what I'm trying to say. Travelers would not accept you currently if they didn't have you already. They're willing to continue on. They don't give us many options, and I understand we quoted the general liability, 2 years ago, and it was exorbitant compared to what you can get it at now. But without the general liability, they just look at property and it's a loss leader. They're scared to death of property along the eastern half of the state of Wyoming. We have increased the values of the buildings drastically over the last several years. In 2019, we were 18 million. Currently, we're at 26 million in building values. In 2019, we were probably underinsured, but it also is a drastic increase in property values, just replacement costs.
What was that again, Will? Is the building value increases?
2019, we were a little over 18 million. Currently, we're at 26 million.
What was the source of those increases?
Replacement costs.
Yeah. 26 million.
We were probably underinsured in 2019 off of the cost estimators. We did cost estimators again this year. We're still a little bit underinsured probably on most things at 26 million. It's terrible, I know. I don't know what to tell you. there's not a lot of options there for property only policies. Nobody wants to touch it.
Say that again?
There's nobody out there that's just jumping up and down for joy to write property only policies in the state of Wyoming. Physical damage coverages.
Well, it's a hard pill to swallow.
No, I totally understand.
For the public record, our insurance over the last 5 years has increased 81%. Just 15% this last year. 15%. This represents a 15% increase, which is 2 times cost of, or 2 times inflation. Correct.
Property values were increased a little over 5% this year from last year.
That's my other, I don't know, point. I don't know what it is. Data point. My personal business, in that same time period, our property insurance has decreased. So what's the difference between?
You have general liability on your policy to back it up with. That helps a ton. Gives it a package credit. You probably don't have a 600% loss ratio.
Yeah, hail claim just like the town. I mean, we're in the same.
No, I understand. I mean, it just, I mean,
What claims, other than the hail, what other claims do you remember?
We've had a couple trash trucks. We've had the canine. We had the fire hall, roof and gutters. We had the snow plow damage on it.
Street sweeper.
Street sweeper.
Street sweeper, yeah.
But probably the big ones were the fire hall.
Fire hall was 28,000. We added that to your policy in 2018, midterm.
Yeah. It was like right after we added it to ours.
Yes, yeah, of course. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Travelers by far is the best coverage as far as for the town, what they offer, what they pay for, and what they do. When the street sweeper had to go to Gillette, wasn't it, Tabitha? We paid for it to get hauled up there and paid for it to get back. Not a lot of companies will do that. I don't have anybody to take care of a dog. I mean, there's just things that Travelers does in the municipality policy that nobody else will touch. They would love to write your general liability, and then we could offset some of these increases with that and help with the deductibles, but I understand why you don't want to do it. I'm not here to try and push you to do that. I'm just saying that's what we're being told.
How long does our current policy?
January 1.
Actually, it's December 23rd.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, because the last one didn't.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't, well, we have all the substations are insured too, aren't they? And they've probably gone up.
I don't know what those, yeah, the substations went up drastically.
And they are insuring the Black Mountain Water Tower.
So that panel from.
We know.
You are, well, but remember the roof?
Yeah, roof blew off, yeah.
Taking time bomb.
That's just what the insurance agent wants to hear is our ticking time bomb.
I was talking about something else.
I honestly, I appreciate your position, and I don't know what to tell you. This is all I got. This is all we could come with. We went to the major carriers that do property and casualty on this side of the state. We've probably lost 2 carriers this last couple of years that have just been swallowed up by somebody or pulled out of the marketplace.
And did I hear you right when you say if we didn't already have existing coverage with Travelers, they probably wouldn't?
They would not pick you up. They would only pick you up if you were willing to do the general liability as a package.
Sure.
They're not writing any property owner policies anymore.
Property only policy.
General liability is with your LGLP, which is, I mean, we have it with our fire departments, you guys have it with, I understand fully. You can't beat it, price-wise. But it takes away from being able to package anything and offer some.
If you were to package it, what would this number end up being?
Oh, what did we quote, $40-some thousand for the general liability?
It's double. It was double. It's double.
Yeah, it was double what you're currently paying.
The general liability, but what would this number go down to?
Well, I don't know that, I don't get to do that, but we would be able to negotiate better.
It probably wouldn't be a one-to-one.
No.
You're in a rock and a hard place.
In a perfect world, we could wish it was 1-to-1, but.
Well, you can't go without insurance, so what else are you gonna give up? So, move to accept the
Second.
Travelers. Or, what am I saying? I'm moving to accept the renewal proposal from the Wellington Agency for Property Insurance.
It's been moved. Do we have a second?
I did second.
Is there any further discussion?
You notice I didn't motion last time. I think I selected the deductible amount, so I let these guys make sure. I tried my time last year.
Terrible.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Well, thanks for the bad news.
I know, I'm sorry.
I will, but I'll say thank you for your customer service, your office. I always hear
Yes,
great things
your
from
local
Tabitha and Candy.
tangibility.
Well, thank
I always
you.
say you guys answer their questions and get stuff moving quick. So if they're happy, that makes our life a lot happy too. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. We do appreciate it very much.
Out of curiosity, what was in the budget for this line item? Remember? Not enough.
Probably not enough.
It's not critical. I'm just curious, morbid.
No, it's,
I'm living testament. Travelers won't insure my building. They paid a claim, I only had one claim in 37 years. I got the one claim, they fixed it, and they canceled me.
Well, we were on Travelers.
But they don't even do us anymore.
They were gonna increase us like 5,000. We found Cincinnati. Went down.
yeah, it's just,
So Travelers always seems to be in the upper.
they're a very, very good company. And they can always pay their claims.
Yeah, that's important.
That's important. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Will.
Thanks, Will. Thanks for enduring a long time to get there.
Survey says?
86,000 for both liability and
We were close.
You must have anticipated an increase of some sort.
Better be lucky than good, right?
All right, new business item number 2. Black Mountain Phase 3 engineering proposal.
Mayor, this is a proposal from Exponential Engineering for the Phase 3 of Black Mountain. Currently, we're in the construction process of Phase 2. So this is for Phase 3, just to do the engineering on it, not the construction engineering, just the design and planning part of it. If we do, they broke it into 2, east and west, 62,000 and 52,000, or we can do both at the same time for 100,000. So savings of 14,000 if we agree to move ahead with the entire engineering of Phase 3. This is an unexpected expense. We didn't expect to get this far, be ready for this until next budget. So if we do approve this, it hasn't been budgeted. We'll have to do a budget amendment to cover this. But they're just wanting to keep it rolling.
And the electric department is behind it, want to keep it rolling as well.
Absolutely.
Payable by,
Excuse me, Don?
payable by date.
So it'll be as they do it, you know, they'll bill us, you know, yeah, as they work on it. I mean, it's.
So that's what I was wondering if it
Yeah,
run, some of
it's,
that would
it
run
won't
into,
be all at one time.
run into next year's budget.
Correct. I'm sorry, I wasn't understanding.
That's what I was trying to do.
Yes,
Payable by.
yes.
Okay.
So the construction part, the big part won't be until another budget cycle.
Correct. Correct.
Is this covered by Sixpenny?
Well, we will be out of money.
You guys spending money,
Yes.
so it's coming out of our general fund?
It will come out of the electric department fund. Yes.
You get the bang for the
And
buck.
we can wait. We can wait till next budget, but it's
14,000. That's pretty good.
savings.
That's pretty good savings,
Good
14,000. I mean,
And I think, yeah, the electric department wants to keep them rolling. Our infrastructure's not getting any younger, and we're trying to stay ahead or have our.
We really like to keep it going.
I really like that 14K. Do it anyway. Do what?
Yeah, like that 14K savings, we have to do it anyway.
Yeah, it's gotta be done. So.
Mm-hmm.
That's a sales.
I know, you goddamn sales guys.
Well, you guys have to deal with it.
I said I'd be all right if you want to make a motion.
I guess I'll go ahead and make a motion to accept that. You want me to?
Go, yeah, go for it.
I'll move. Can't make a motion. I'll move. We accept that Exponential Engineering Company bid on the project bumping up phase 3. I think I said.
Second.
I got this.
And just for clarification, it's for all projects at the $100,000 level, correct?
Phase 3 complete design.
Complete design on this, yeah. Phase 3 proposal.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion will carry.
Thank you.
Now we are on to item number 3, which is agreement with Superior Contracting LLC on the storm drain east of the middle school.
A couple months back, we did the notice, we accepted their bid. And so this is the agreement. I didn't pull out all of the contract or print it out. It was like 118 pages. So I just pulled out the agreement and then I copied and put the costs up on the council table. So this is the agreement to Superior Contracting. Do you need more? This project will be paid for with American Rescue Plan.
It's already been approved. We're done. This is just showing us what it. This is just showing us what it is. All right.
And they got their fence issue figured out.
So, our street crew will take down the fence, and then the cost included in this is, putting up a new fence.
Are they gonna make monthly applications for payment? It's not that long of a project, but it's all done in 1 month.
I think it was just supposed to be done just within a couple of months.
You're gonna retain 5%. move to accept the agreement for, what is this? What do you want to call it? Wheatland Middle School drainage with Superior Contracting and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the contract and have the mayor sign. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
This is a $250,000 bill for safety, right? It was one of our things we identified as a safety issue.
For safety.
Safety.
Yeah.
It's a real deep ditch. Isn't it?
New business, item number 4, replat of the Joe Johnson subdivision and acceptance of Hope and Faith Streets.
For background, this has been going on for a long time since they built.
Do we have something on that?
It's right there.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't have it.
You guys have seen the preliminary plat? Yep, it's been years.
It's been years.
We did it.
I've only been here for 8, so
It was,
you've been here longer.
but what happened is that they subdivided that where the legacy home is located. And then we had some issues with the quality of the streets.
Oh, yeah.
And as a result, the street department, our engineer, and I think Hales came out and helped get it squared away. And the solution ended up being that, as a result, they chip sealed the streets out there. And
Where are we?
out at Legacy Home and that subdivision, all the streets were chip sealed.
The streets around the church.
Yeah, the whole church.
We just did that. I mean, it's.
Yeah, we didn't do it, the hospital board.
Inside.
North of the
Then the hospital board,
Legacy.
hospital board.
North.
You know Memorial Baptist Church?
Yeah. It's a new street now. It's not chips like this.
No, you're thinking about the north and south street. These are east and west. This is the east and west street.
You're thinking of,
To the
Here,
or
maybe-
Johnston Street.
Yes.
All inside the property. Inside by west.
Get off our street and go.
This might make it easier.
Yeah.
Be Faith Street and Hope. We're now accepting Faith and Hope Street.
Where are we?
Let's
There's
see.
19th.
This
So
would
is
be
this the legacy home right here?
That would be the church, right?
Or is that
You let,
the church?
No.
if you flip it around, Legacy's on the east side of.
Yep. Got a north. So this is north. This is 19th. This is the big.
North is behind you, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah, but on the map,
I know,
north
but
is
yeah,
this
I was
one,
gonna
yes.
say, yeah. You were trying to visualize.
So,
I am.
Yeah.
I'm still not there.
so this is Legacy.
Yeah, this is the legacy home, and then this is the church.
Exactly.
And
These are the streets.
Okay.
Remember, right where Doug's finger is, we had real bad cutout in the street, so that's where we ended up redoing the street.
Yeah.
We'd kind of dealt with some
You're not,
potholes and fixing it up.
when was the Legacy home constructed?
2012.
2012. So we've been on these streets when they finally got done. That's why we're waiting on the plan.
So we're just accepting that this is the proper drawing for.
Right, and then gonna approve the final plat.
And all the work we done.
Yep, everything's done.
And then we keep on it now, once it's done.
Once
That's
we
what we're
accept
doing.
them, yeah, once we accept the
Yeah,
streets.
because I remember, I went and looked at that, and that's, we're kind of
We're
waiting
the
for it to be
last.
that done, get that done.
Didn't realize this was a street around here. Because didn't we have a cut through right here when they were doing this?
No,
It's still not in the right spot.
no, you are. Had it.
This is the Lutheran church up
Yeah,
here.
exactly, and there was a
Yeah.
cut
Right across from Anderson, down cat a corner.
when we were building this, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, move to approve the replat of the Joe Johnson subdivision and accept Hope and Faith Streets.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Brandon moving.
Yep. Sign it with the special payment.
Very good.
Hearing no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye. Motion carries.
Acceptance of hope and faith.
Yeah, that sounds like the motion for 16th Street. Acceptance of hope and faith.
Yeah. Please stop. Be charitable as you drive down the hill.
All right, new business item number 5 is an appointment for the Board of Adjustments, and his name is Justin Brennan. You have before you his application.
I do somewhere. I've lost it already.
Was it sent?
Here's my copy if you want to look at it. I have read it, and I personally know Justin. I think he would be a valuable asset, in my opinion. And quite frankly, he's a warm and willing body, so.
He's got a heartbeat. Sign him up.
Let's sign him up.
He is not here.
No, he's not here, I didn't know when we would get to him. And actually, that will, fill all our seats on the Board of Adjustments.
Good.
He drives for Superior.
I think so, yeah.
He does what?
Drives for Superior.
Oh.
You just make that appointment?
You gotta make a motion to accept it.
Yeah, motion to accept the mayor's appointment to the Board of Adjustments.
Make a motion to accept the mayor's appointment?
Second.
Is there any
Board
further
Adjustment.
discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Yeah, we did. As far as announcements go, next regularly scheduled meeting is December 12th, right here, 7 o'clock in the council chambers. And with that, we will go into executive session
For purposes of discuss litigation.
for the purpose to discuss litigation.
We keep the new guys coming up to date on this?
Can the electees stay?
No, I would rather not, but I think, ask Rex, I'm gonna leave. I've got kidney stones.
Smiling?
Oh.
But Rex is here.
No, well,